All right. Welcome to HIT 500, Health Statistics. Yay! We do have a lot of work to complete in the next 11 weeks, but I really want to stress that just keeping up weekly and working on assignments and reaching out if you have questions is going to be fundamental. And HIT statistics, it's not as daunting as it may sound. So some of you that may have not had math in a long time, do not stress. I promise you, this class is going to be a breeze in the park, okay? I promise you. Now, we're going to kick the course off correctly. There are a few things that we know we have to complete, right? You are going to be reminded weekly on the last day of the module, which is Saturday, September 16th, 2023. All assignments, quizzes, knowledge checks, they have to be completed before the 16th of Saturday so that you can really just concentrate on that cumulative final exam. With that, everything, knowledge checks, apply and reflect. If there is anything that you're just like, I don't know about this, reach out, okay? Keep in mind that our office hours are in place, right? But if you need me at any time, send me a message and then we can link up. There are some things that you do need to mark your calendar for. So week 10, class will be on Tuesday at 1800 due to the Labor Day holiday. Also, in 2 weeks, Career Services will be hosting the live session, and they're going to be providing you with great information, and that's going to be on July 1st at 1700. Okay, so if there's any day that you can definitely make it, mark your calendar for that day, July 1st, because Career Services will be in here providing some really great information. Because believe it or not, in a few short months, it's going to go like that. You guys will be in module 7, getting ready to graduate. Now, we do have our agenda in HIT 500 as normal. So this week we're going over the syllabus review. We have math trivia, no quote of the weeks, but we have a little math trivia to kind of get our minds ready for the course material. We are covering 2 chapters, or kind of breezing over 2 chapters. Chapter 1, which is Introduction to Health Statistics, as well as Chapter 2, which is just a mathematic review. And then we're going to wrap everything up. Now, at the wrap up, if you're comfortable and you're golden, I'm going to go ahead and have you wish you a wonderful weekend. But if you want to stick around and just kind of see what the apply and reflection looks like, then stick around. The one thing that I do in health statistics is I actually do break down a couple questions from your apply and reflection, and I will time stamp it because I know time, you guys are working, you have live, so I do time stamp it so that you can go back at any time and review your apply and reflection. So you can look forward to that if you can't stay, okay? But as soon as the wrap up is done, the live session is pretty much done. I just add on the apply and reflection for everyone who can stay. But like I mentioned, it will be time stamped on every live session archive. With that, changing gears a little bit, let's take a look at the course page, okay? And if you have any questions, just make sure you reach out. The book for the course is Calculating and Reporting Healthcare Statistics. It is the sixth edition. Going to the course page. All right. So you guys know that I do tend to put a lot of things on the announcements. There's nothing here yet, but try to look at that weekly because I do try to put things on there. I can't promise, but I will try to email like really important items to you via Moodle as well as announcements. So keep that in mind, because I will try to do my best to kind of do that for you guys. Of course, post your questions if you do have any questions. Virtual hours, I know it says Wednesdays at 1600, which is, actually that should be Tuesdays because we have class on Tuesday. Sorry guys, it's Tuesdays at 1600. It just threw me off because this week we have it on Wednesday, directly before our live session. However, again, whenever you need to reach out and we do decide, hey, this is the time we're going to link up, you will just click on to this link and we'll have the live session that way. Also, for our syllabus, just reiterating this portion again, okay? Earning a grade of C, which is 75% or better throughout the course, is required, as well as passing the final exam with a 75% or better, okay? So 2 conditions: passing pretty much the course, right, with at least a 75%, and then making sure that you pass the final exam as well with a 75% or better, okay? Now that we have that all out of the way, let's get to how this course setup is. So like I mentioned, each week we do have kind of math trivia questions, just little things that I found that was pretty interesting. So this week, what is the only number that has the same number of letters as its meanings? The answer is 4. And math is the only place that you can buy 64 watermelons and no one wonders why. Like, that's true, right? Okay, so this very first chapter is Introduction to Health Statistics. Here, the chapter talks about recommendations for healthcare statistics, looking at sources of data, comparing and contrasting different data information, and then determining who even uses healthcare statistics. Now, right out of the gate, we look at what is statistics. Now, definition: statistics, a number computed from a larger collection of numbers which collectively constitute a sample of data. That's what statistic is, right? But statistics is a branch of mathematics concerned with collecting, organizing, summarizing, and analyzing data. I found this cute little video that kind of breaks it down just a little bit more. So let's take a look.
Statistics, basic concepts. What is statistics? Let's say you have a lot of information, such as names, ages, heights, and eye color of different people. If you organize and use this data in order to look at the group as a whole, you're using statistics. Statistics is a type of math that teaches you how to collect and analyze data or information in order to find answers and make decisions. It's commonly used by organizations like governments and companies to make predictions based on facts. For example, you might be familiar with Netflix, the streaming service for watching TV shows and movies. They collect lots of information from viewers so that they can suggest other content that they think you might like. This makes the Netflix experience feel more personalized. Since Netflix makes some of its own content, they also use data to determine if they should produce a new movie or show. This is based on predictions about whether it will be popular with viewers or not. Statistics is also used in fields like healthcare, economics, and education. Medical researchers use it to study if new medicines are effective. Economists study consumer trends, and education experts track information about students, like graduation rates. While there are different methods for gathering and analyzing data, just remember, statistics helps us to discover its value in order to make better decisions. Feel free to check out our other videos or our free tutorial on basic statistics to learn more.
All right, so that is just basic statistics. So we've gotten the understanding of just that, right? Let's take a closer look at healthcare or health statistics. Now, when we look at health statistics, we are providing information, as you see, about the health of individuals, of the people. We look at whether it's relevant, meaning it's applicable to what we're looking at, and then we want to know if it's reliable or in other words, looking at the consistency. So we have descriptive statistics and inferential statistics, okay? With descriptive statistics, we are describing what the data shows about the characteristics of a particular sample. They tell us the information about a particular population. Inferential statistics helps us to really make guesses about a larger group of data or population by drawing conclusions from a smaller group of that sample or that group called a sample, okay? The results obtained from the sample are assumed to be kind of that representation of the entire population. Now, we have primary and secondary sources. The image kind of gives you an idea of looking at different primary sources, interviews, audio recordings from the individual, literary or theatrical works, versus secondary sources, data driven that are coming from primary sources, but they're going to be used to guide the hospital's operations. Where do we get health statistics? Now, census, we look at the census, which is just a count of people, okay? The census tells us who we are and where we're going as a nation. And it helps our communities really determine where to build everything from schools to supermarkets, from hospitals. It helps the government decide how to distribute funds and assistance to states and localities. We look at birth and death records, right? So then we're hitting on vital records that consist of just that: birth, death, marriage, divorce. State government vital record offices issues these types of documentation. You get a copy from your vital records, you can contact, so if you ever need a copy of your birth certificate, for example, you will contact the vital records office from where you were born, and they would be able to send it out to you. Usually they may ask for a fee, but usually you'll be able to get a copy of that documentation. You will notice that as we are in our second time doing a cumulative final exam, I have little recaps sprinkled out throughout our live sessions. Today, I'm just having you just sit back and let me drive the bus and show you how it's going to go moving forward. So kind of like, this is just an example of what you're going to see in the next 10 weeks. Okay, so today I'm not expecting you to answer anything, just kind of relax. So one of the biggest questions: what score must you obtain on the final exam to pass the course? 75%. What happens on week 3, 18 July 2023? Career Services will be hosting the live session. Okay, so you'll see little recaps, little knowledge checks thrown in throughout the lecture. Okay. The last part of the very first chapter, these chapters aren't very long, asks the question, who uses health statistics? Well, there are a plethora within the healthcare system. Everyone from healthcare administrators, the healthcare department managers, cancer registries, nursing facilities, home health agencies, hospice, mental health facilities, drug and alcohol facilities, outpatient facilities, managed care organizations, healthcare researchers, accrediting agencies, and of course, the government. Now, chapter 2 is just a mathematic review. This chapter is a quick review on math terms and concepts. This is going to be the foundation of what we will be doing over the next 11 weeks. So it may seem like, oh, I know how to do this, but we're going to be compounding and adding on to it come next week when we start talking about different formulas. So our learning objectives: looking at decimals, ratios, proportions, rates, percentages, differentiating between a numerator and a denominator, performing round whole numbers and decimals, determining the proper conversion of fractions and decimals to percentage. This is going to be important because there are a lot of assignments moving forward that will ask for specifics. And if it's asking for 3 decimal places, 2 decimal places, if it is not at that particular decimal point, it will be marked wrong, okay? We are going to be looking at computing the average and the mean. So right off the bat, just looking at a fraction, okay? Fraction in arithmetic is a number expressed as a quotient in which a numerator is divided by a denominator, okay? 3 is the numerator and a 5 is the denominator. Plain basic, okay? Then we look at a quotient. The quotient is obtained after the process of division is completed. So this means that when a divisor divides a dividend, the answer that we get is the quotient. In other words, the quotient can be found using the formula dividend divided by divisor equals quotient. And then we look at this particular example, 12 divided by 2 equals 6. Decimal fractions. In algebra, a decimal fraction is where the denominator is, let's say, 10 or multiply of 10 like. You have like 100, 1,000, 10,000, etc. Fun fact, decimal fractions were first developed and used by the Chinese in the end of the 4th century BC, and then it spread to the Middle East and from there to Europe and then, of course, everywhere else. Here are just some examples of just some decimal fractions, okay? 2/5, what can we multiply both, right? 2, so 4 and 10 gives us 0.4. So simple decimal fractions, nothing too crazy yet. We also look at decimal placement. In the number 1,234, period 5678 or point 5678, the point separates the whole numbers, which is 1,234, from the fraction, which is 5,678. Okay, so just looking at decimal places. There will be times in this module where we're going to have to round whole numbers. So if the number is less than 5, round down. The number is greater than or equal, round up. And this roller coaster is like a really great example when I found it. You're going to roll down if it's less than 5 and then roll up or over if it's 5 or greater. Rounding to the nearest 10th, okay? So let's say here we look at 31, okay? 31's right here. It's between 31 and 30, but it's closer to 40. So we're going to round down to 30. But if we look at, let's say, 37, right? 37 is also between 30 and 40. However, in this particular instance, rounding to the nearest 10th, we round up to 40. Anything between the 35 to 39 is going to go up, and anything between 31 and 34 is going to go down. All right. Like I said, this first 2 chapters, just kind of setting the foundation. We also may have times where we have to round to the nearest 100, referring to rounding numbers that fall between multiples of 100. Here, rounding to the nearest 100, you look at 31.6999. This 9 right here lets us know that we need to round up, giving us the answer 31.70. Reminding you that this is going to be important because there are going to be assignments that are going to be specific, where one may ask you to round to the nearest 10th, where another one may ask you to round to the nearest 100th, where one may say, I need 3 decimal places. And that's going to be based on the facility. So being able to be fluid with it is really going to help set you up for success now. Again, rounding to the nearest thousands. So the last 3 digits are 499 or less, then the number is rounded down. in the number 7,337. The 337 indicates that 7,337 should be rounded down to 7,000. Okay. Again, just like before, there may be times where you're going to have to round to that nearest thousand. Usually it's rare, but knowing how to do it is still pretty, a good thing to have. Rounding just means replacing a number with an approximate value that has a shorter, simpler, or more explicit representation. Okay, so that's all that's saying. The slide gives examples of just rounding different decimals. Here, 8172 to the nearest hundredth. We have 8.172, the 2 is less than 5, 8.17. And again, 8.176. Now we're going up because that 6 makes that 7 rounded to the 8. We're also going to be looking at percentages. We're looking at a percentage, we're talking about the part or the ratio of a part to the whole, and it's often going to be expressed in a percentage. For example, you have 34%, which really just means 34 divided by 100. This is a useful way to make fair kind of comparisons, okay? Here you have 50 over 100, which is actually 1/2 as the fraction, 50% as the percentage. But if we want to make it a decimal, we multiply it by 100 and we move the decimal place to the left, 0.5. It becomes 0.5, okay? And if we want to go from a decimal to percentage, we move it to the right, I know that's not the song, but that's how I'm going to go with it, which gives you back 50%, okay? And then here's another one where you're just looking at per 100. 0%, 25 over 100 is 25%. 50 of 100 is 50%. Of course, 100 of 100 is that 100 percentage. Now, the chapter gave really great examples, so I grabbed them for us this evening. When we're changing a fraction to a percentage, the example that they gave you is converting 12 to a percentage, okay? You have 1 divided by 2, giving you 0.5, but we want that as a percentage. Remember the two ways. You can either move the decimal place or multiply by 100. When you multiply 0.5 by 100, you get 5%. Converting a decimal to a percentage, 0.29 times 100, 29%. And then here is that, again, couple of numbers or decimals and how you would get them to a percent easily by 1 multiplying by 100 or by simply moving the decimal place to the right for percent, to the left for a decimal. Oftentimes, you may have to change a percentage to an actual fraction. And that would be so that you can get your, within the formula, get your answer. So you eliminate the percent sign and multiply the number by 1 over 100. In this example, you have 5% or 5 times 1 over 100, giving you 5 over 100. Breaking that down to the most simplest form, 5 can go into both 5 and 100. 5 goes into 5, 1. 5 goes into 100 20 times, giving you a fraction of 1 over 20 or 1/20th. Again, percentage to a decimal. Converting that percentage, we have the example of 76%. So we eliminate that percentage sign. We move our decimal to the left, 2 places, to the left, gives us 0.76. If the percentage is only 1 digit, then we would have to place a 0. So just keep that in mind. So let's say you have 8%, make sure you put 0.08. So you're still moving it to 2 places, but make sure you put that 0 in front. And then this one, you have 0.76, 76 divided by 100. Okay. And then they gave you another one, which was 4. Remember putting that 0 in the place. So 0.04. Keep in mind, this is just a review. Okay. And then another little example, 2.5% would give you 0.025. Another thing that you'll notice in health statistics is that you will get a lot of formulas. And so for your final exam, I will be providing you with a list of all the formulas from weeks 2 all the way through weeks 10 to really help you as you navigate that final exam, okay? We do have to calculate ratios. Now, a ratio expresses the relationship of one quantity to another. Ratio is calculated by dividing the quantity by another. The number can be greater than 1 or less than 1. So for the example, you have focus groups of various sizes. If 7 men and 5 women were in a group, the ratio would be simply 7 to 5. And we usually say 7 semicolon to 5, or, so it's verbalized 7 to 5. Ratios should really be simplified to their simplest form. The numbers 7 and 5 have no common factors, so we can't break it any further than that. However, let's suppose you have 6 men and 10 women in a group. The ratio is now 6 to 10. You kind of see this in this example down here, okay? But 6 and 10 is not its simplest form. We have to look at a number that both 6 and 10 can go into, and as you can see, it's 2. So you would take the 6 to 10 down to 3 to 5, or a new ratio of 3 to 5. We also look at proportions. Now, a proportion is a ratio in which X is the portion of the whole X plus Y, okay? For example, okay, you have 2 women out of a group of 10 over the age of 50 that have had cancer, where X equals 2, women who have cancer, and Y equals 8, women who do not have cancer, right? Women do not have cancer. So the calculation would be 2 divided by 2 plus 8. And you see that's 2 over 10, okay? 2 over 10 equals 2 divided by 10, or 0.2 is the proportion. We also have rates in this chapter. Now, we look at measuring of time is the most often, okay? That's what we really look at. So that was the example that I found. You have 60 miles, you do 60 miles in 3 hours. Let's say you are a slow driver and you are trying to get to LA. Now, from San Diego to LA should not take you 3 hours, but we're not judging. So you would calculate, okay, it took me 3 hours to get 60 miles. What would be the rate for just 1 hour? You would simply take the 3 divided by 60, which would give you 1 over 20, and you went 20 miles per hour, okay? And the same thing with typing. A lot of times when we are looking at to see how fast our typing skills are, a lot of times you'll see the 40 words, you'll do a 2-minute test, and you'll get, like in the example, 40 words. So 2 into 40 gives you 20 words a minute. We will also look at averages. Okay, an average is the value obtained by dividing the sum of a set of numbers by the number of values. Biggest way to figure is if you were taking a test. Now, I see the example up there, the me, 7 plus 9 plus 5 plus 3, but I want you to think of things that relate to us. A lot of times when you have 9 tests, 1 midterm, 1 final, right? And you want to know your average score of your weekly feedback. Let's say that the computer did not automatically do it for you. And on your score, you had 82, 78, 94, 56, 91, and 85. You would add all those together, okay? 486 would be the total. And those are 6 tests in that particular example. You would take 486 divided by 6, and then you know that your average quiz score is an 81%. So just taking everything up, adding them up, dividing by the number of items will give you the average score. Another recap, okay? And I have the answer there for you. What is a quotient derived from a fraction where the denominator is a multiple of 10? That is a decimal. And what is a fraction that is formulated to express the relationship between the numerator and the denominator? That is the rate. 2 more recaps to kind of give you that example of how we're going to be moving forward. Again, the last day of the course is Saturday, September 16th, 2023. And you must score a 75% or greater to pass the final exam. Now, again, welcome to week 1 of HIT 500. Now, HIT 500, we will be doing a lot of in-course examples because it's a lot of math, right? So if there is anything that comes up that you're just like, I've worked on it, I can't figure it out, bring it to me. I will be doing the highly missed questions again. So come Monday, I'll be calculating, seeing what the highly missed questions are. And then come our next live session, we will go over them. Now, for week 3, you're going to be doing a lot of reading on your own, but don't fret. I will still be providing you with a highly missed questions kind of PowerPoint, and that's going to be placed in announcements. But of course, I won't be able to do it until Monday once everyone has taken that weekly feedback, okay? For those of you who are watching this archive, when is the last day of the module? Date and time, please. Math trivia. What is the only number that has the same number of letters as its meaning? 4. And math is really the only place where you can buy 64 watermelons and no one's looking at you like, why are you buying all that? We went over our syllabus. We had our little trivia. We went over chapters 1 and 2, which is just really setting the foundation for the next 10 weeks. And this is our wrap up. For those of you who are like, I've got the apply and reflect, I am golden. This is where I bid you adieu. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Have a wonderful weekend. And I will see you in the next live session. For those of you who kind of want to stick around and see what this apply and reflection is all about, let's get into it. All right. Now, you're going to be going on to Math Planet and clicking the solve problems with percent options. You're going to read the information and then there's a video that you're going to watch, okay? You're going to use that information that you reviewed to answer the following questions. It's time to order stethoscopes for the nursing staff. The purchasing department has found a vendor site that is selling stethoscopes for 25% less than the usual price of $80 per unit. For my shoppers out there, go back to retail and when you're shopping to help you hone into this particular question. What is the sales price for the stethoscope from the new vendor? We take $80 and we divide that by 25%. That gives us $60. Not bad for a stethoscope. Now, another question, 125 is 40% of what number? You take 125 and divide that by 40%, that's going to give you 312.5. Okay, and that is for that particular portion of the apply and reflection. I try to hit every type of question on the apply and reflections. Okay, so if there are 3 parts, I'll grab questions from each part. So with this next question, we're expressing the ratio as a fraction in its simplest form. We're looking at 56 over 112. Okay, the answer is 1/2, but you take 56 over 112. It can be divided by 2. So 56 and 112 can go in to itself 2 times. So 56 can go into 56 one time, 56 can go into 112 2 times, giving you the answer of 1/2. All right. And then converting the following decimal to a percent. To convert a decimal to a percent, you take the decimal and multiply it by 100 to give you that percentage. 0.015 times 100 equals 1.5. So remember the 2 ways. You can either multiply by 100 or move your decimal place 2 places to the right. To the right decimal, to the left percent. To the right decimal, to the left percent. Any questions? Any questions at all? None? Y'all, welcome back. We are going to have a really good time in health statistics. I know that sounds crazy, but it's not going to be too daunting, I promise you. I'm looking forward to working with y'all, and keep in mind, if you have any questions, let me know. All right. I will see. Oh, awesome. That makes me happy because I love math myself. Okay. So we're going to have some fun. On that note, have a great rest of your day, and I will see everyone who can attend in next week's live session. Good night, y'all.